I'm Sarah Bradby from The Upcoming. Lovely to speak to you today. Thanks so much for taking the time. This show, Monsters, I think seems to just cut straight to the heart of our ongoing fascination with true crime and particularly big questions of truth, justice, how the media can shape public perceptions of those. But what was appealing to each of you of taking on a dramatization of this very particular case?
What was appealing? Well, it was Ryan Murphy. I'd worked with Ryan on the People versus OJ. And had a great time. This came up, and I was sent the first 4 episodes to read, and then we had a conversation on the phone. And it was just. I thought the writing was really, really great, and I thought it would be interesting to play someone like Dominic Dunn, and then he said, and there'll be one episode later on where we sort of explore a bit of his backstory and why he became this passionate advocate for victims, and I said great, and it was so for me it was just exciting to work with Ryan again and on something that was so well written.
Yeah, I'd been wanting to work with Ryan forever. I was like, when is it gonna come? When is my Ryan Murphy show time gonna come? And
you didn't actually sit at home saying that,
I
did
said,
you?
when is that phone gonna ring? No, but I've been such an enormous fan of his, and especially what he does with characters, and particularly women. And I don't think anyone on television, or maybe there's a few people, but the way he writes women, I think, is unparalleled, and especially strong, powerful, complicated ladies. So that was sort of the inroad, and then learning about the case and finding out. And I think the response has been fascinating and remarkable in a way, because how people are seeing the case now is the complete opposite of how this case was viewed 35 years ago within public opinion. It's an incredible mirror for our culture about how we are and our consciousness about how we see things. So it's fascinating.
And what do you think it is about Ryan as TV creator, a writer? Because what's really smart about the series is that it's constantly shifting. It's the perspective we're being shown. So you as an audience are never quite on solid ground. Were this pair, victims of abuse? Were they total sociopaths? And what is really crucial about the way he sets the show up in that way to make us question, how we make our conclusions about these things?
I think it's incredibly smart and astute and truthful. This is a case that holds so many perspectives and so many different elements, layers, truths, perspectives, and it behooves it to have all of them shown, and then to be that mirror for culture of what rises up for people.
The only 2 people who know are Erik and Lyle Menendez. There were times when in sort of going back over the case and looking at their testimony, and and it's very believable that it seems like they certainly were physically and emotionally abused. And it seems, based on everything I read and saw, that there was some sexual abuse. I don't know to what extent, and I think, like the show itself, when it starts, they're not very sympathetic. But then it slowly starts to unravel, and you start to hear what was going on in that household, which was very disturbing. And could that be what led to this horrific act? And everyone has an opinion, and so you get to see many different points of view. And I think then the show itself, it doesn't tell you what to think. It just gives you many different points of view, and then you have to decide, well, who are the real monsters? Who is a monster? Are you born a monster, or are you made a monster? And so that's all a part of the thesis of the show.
Thanks so much for sharing that with me, and I can't wait for everyone else to dive into Monsters. Thanks so much.
Thank you.